Our theme today is a pasuk in Parashat Pinchas, Perek Chav Zayin. Moshe Rabbeinu is discussing with Hashem who will take over the leadership after he passes away. And Moshe is pleading to Hashem to pick the right leader who will be able to lead Bnei Israel. While doing so, he says a mashal. He says, "V'lo tiyeh adat Hashem kitzon asher ein lehem ro'eh." That the Jewish people should not be like a flock of sheep who have no shepherd. The question is, who was he trying to convince? And why did he have to give that mashal? Hashem knows better than him the needs of the people. So why does he say, please Hashem, don't leave them like a flock of sheep without a shepherd? Rav Eli Alopian comments on this pasuk that what Moshe actually was doing was he was giving himself a mashal. In order to plead his case properly and daven properly in front of Hashem, he used his own ability to imagine what is it like for these people to be left without a proper leader. And here we're going to learn a very important principle in Avodat Hashem. It is called koach hatzior, the ability to use your imagination to conjure up images to be used to properly serve Hashem. What Moshe Rabbeinu was doing was he wanted to daven properly, and he imagined what it would be like for the people to not have a proper leader. The Alter of Kelm, the head of the Kelm Musar movement, was known to have said a very strong statement. He would say, what is the difference between a tzaddik and a rasha? The difference is koach hatzir, is what you use your imagination for. We know that imagination, unfortunately, gets a pretty bad reputation, and sometimes it leads us to sin, improper things. And yet, the Torah tells us, Ein tzur ke'elokeinu. There's no rock like our God. Chazal changed the vav to a yud in this pasuk and say, Ein tzayar ke'elokeinu. There is no artist like our God. The pshat in Chazal, obviously, is when you look at the beautiful world that Hashem created, we can say, Ein tzayar ke'elokeinu. But there's a certain way to understand that Chazal, that it is describing our ability to imagine. Using your imagination, you can paint for yourself the most beautiful paintings. In the real world, I'm not an artist and I cannot draw anything other than stick figures. But in the world of my imagination, I can close my eyes and imagine the most beautiful, perfect pictures, better than any artist. What we're supposed to do in Avodat Hashem is use our imagination to help enhance our kiyum mitzvot. This could be in the area of ben adam lamakom, when keeping a mitzvah, to think about the possible implications of this mitzvah, while learning Torah, to imagine that this exact Torah came from Har Sinai, and to imagine yourself receiving it there. But the biggest place to use our koach hatzir is in ben adam l'chavero. In order to really understand the needs of other people, to daven for them properly, to help them in an appropriate way, we have to imagine what it's like to be them. And sometimes we have to actually put color to their situation in order to really, really understand properly. There's a mitzvah that extends from this, which is called noseh ba'olam chavero, to actually carry the burden of another person. If we don't understand the other person's plight, their situation, we're not very helpful, and we don't do the right things. We often will not care enough, and therefore we want to use our imagination to be able to really, really help the person in a deep way. I'd like to give two small examples of this. One time, I had a neighbor who lived with me at the entrance of our apartment building in Jerusalem, and it was a rainy day, and I noticed that her children's shoes were lined out outside the door. She had a few little children. There was bigger shoes and little ones, littler ones. And I said to her, it's so adorable. I've never noticed that before. She says to me, Dina, you never noticed it before because I never did it before. She said, there's somebody in our building who's struggling with infertility, and they just had a child yesterday. All the years that they were struggling, I didn't want them to have to see those little pairs of shoes. I imagined that for them that would be very painful. Now that they have a child of their own, I can let my little shoes be outside the front door. That's using koach hatzir to imagine the struggle of another person and to be sensitive to their needs. I'll give one last very powerful example. The Alter of Kelm himself was known to be an expert at Koach Hatzir and at Noseb Olam Chavero. It's said about the Alter of Kelm that in anti-Semitic Kelm, he once heard about a non-Jew who he didn't even know who had passed away. And he looked sad. His student said to him, "Rebbe, why are you so sad? You didn't even know this non-Jew, and you had nothing to do with him." He said, "Yes, but I'm imagining now what it must be like for that person to be in the world of truth and to realizing that they've been worshiping the wrong God their whole life. That must be very painful, and that's why I'm sad." We should all be able to use Koach HaTzior to enhance our Ben Adon L'Chavero, our Ben Adon L'Makom, and hopefully for leadership to be able to understand the needs of our people. Thank you.